We're all smart. Jay?
Okay, well, if anybody wanted, yes.
The most frustrating thing, at least for me personally, and I think for us as a group, is we go out and we try to engage these zombies. And they're all the time telling me, we are so thankful for what you're doing. And I say, what are you going to do? And there's just no response. You know, they say, well,
They're hoping it won't happen.
Go to the Sons of Italy on that night and have meatballs and whatever.
Friday nights.
Right there. I don't know what else to say other than that, but that's the bottom line.
Have you researched any of the long-term food supplies? You know, the 10 to 25-year life storage food. Have you researched
A little
anything?
bit, yes.
And do you have any preferences on different companies and so forth?
No preferences on the companies. There are different kinds of long-term food storage. Of course, there's freeze-dried food. There's grains. Now, if you get grains, that's probably the best way to do it. You get grains. You can put them in even, I know these are not food safe type things, but you can get buckets from Ace Hardware. They're easy to handle. Buckets from Ace Hardware. You put the grains, you get them in a sack, put that in the freezer or a neighbor's deep freeze, kill the bugs, because there are moths in there, I don't care. Kill the bugs, and then you can stick, if it's a 25-pound sack, it will fit inside that little bucket, and you can get some dry ice from Publix, put it in there, and leave the top off, and let the dry ice melt, and as soon as the dry ice starts coming over the top, you've forced all the O2 out, most of it, not the ones in the grain. Then you can put the top on. But you can do that. I would suggest that. Seeds like this will store for 10, 15 years if you keep it cool. If you keep it out in the trunk of your car, it won't. But put up fruits and vegetables. There's still plenty of food available. You can do some canning now. I've started to do some of that. The way that I discovered is the easiest is not to heat up the water for the canning, you know, to sterilize the jars. That's what takes so long. It's not the cooking the fruit. So what you do is, you've seen these turkey fryers. They have a stand, and then you hook them up to a propane tank, and you turn that sucker on, and in about 10 minutes, you're done cooking your jars. So the long wait, instead of half an hour, is over. You're done. And then you can cook your fruit, and it just goes so much more quickly. But in Baker, for instance, you can, I don't know, it's pretty well known, but you can go up to Baker off 4, and then I forget the other road, 189 or something. And there's Acres Strawberry Farms, and they got a big building and about 5 acres of strawberries, and you can go in there, they're nice people, and say, do you know where I can pick blueberries or peaches or nectarines or like this, blackberries? And they'll say, sure, right down this street, there's, you know, such and such, I forget his name, Junior Brooks or something. He's got blackberries and peaches and nectarines and blueberries at another location. And so you can take these things, or you can get blueberries off Eglin Air Force Base. But you have to pay $5 and get a permit at Jackson Garden. But you can take these things and can them and put them up. We went out there last weekend, and my little boy and my wife is like super pregnant, like 4 weeks away. And she was out there, she was eating about as many peaches as she was putting in the thing. And I was like, honey, and the girl says, don't worry, we factored that in. I said, yeah. And then my little boy was running amok also, you know, but he was, that boy, we made the mistake of taking him to Acres Strawberry Farm. I looked around, I tried to find him, and there he was over there. And there was a crowd of people standing around him just laughing, you know, because he was sitting there with 2 hands with strawberries. And they had big strawberries the first part of May. And he was eating them, and they were running down his face and down here, and he was just having the best time, you know. It's just cute to see him, little guy.
Senator Greg Evers.
Yeah. Yes, yeah,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
paper just covered
A
that.
lot of what you're talking about was, how many of y'all got caught up in Y2K?
What now?
Y2K with the food storage and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
You know, 'cause yeah.
Well, that's not
And,
bad.
And I mean, the food stores in Salt Lake and stuff, I mean, you know, the big cans like that, so.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not bad.
I had my distilled water that I had bought, it took me like 9 months to go through them, and I had so much, I had to put it everywhere that I know, stack. But just, you know, just like what you're saying, you know, deja vu me to the, you know, the white.
Well, if you read these guys, they don't think you can have too much water, and I agree with them.
Oh,
Yes.
I was just gonna say, even if you put it back, it's not wasted. Price of groceries only go up,
Right.
and up.
You can
So
rotate it.
You
If you need
can
a little bit,
rotate it as
rotate
you
it.
go, and you can buy just regular canned foods, and most of those will last from 1 to 2 years. It says right on it how long, and most canned foods, if they're not puppy, are good.
Yeah, and they say keep canned foods, I heard too, cool and dark.
Well, it
Yeah,
doesn't,
that's
yeah,
why.
cool, you should keep them out of the light, but it's good to rotate them if you can.
Yeah. You have fresh
We're putting
foods,
away
canned foods,
toilet
and
tissue
dry.
and various other things like that because, you know, I don't know that it's gonna happen, but I don't think it hurts. And like I said, it's only a hedge against inflation. And you gotta put your money somewhere, so you might as well put it in food.
It's a judgment call.
Yeah.
It's a judgment.
There's one, I don't know, are you familiar with the food sources that Sean Hannity advertises in his version of books? There are food supplies, and I believe they're freeze-dried, and they say there's enough for,
Those are nice.
In
They're
backpacks.
the most expensive, but they're nice.
yeah, you are familiar with
Oh, look at that genre, yeah.
them. Yeah,
They're nice, but they're the most expensive.
most.
Yeah.
You were talking about food shortage and everything like that, and you kind of hit on it back here. I don't think we've really seen the impact of what's happening in the United States of America right now with all the flooding, the tornadoes, all the devastation that's going on in our farm. It just has not come upon us yet, and it's going to come. And the other thing is what's happening in Europe right now. I got a friend that just came back from a cruise over in Spain. He came back with a crud, and then all of a sudden 1 week later we have the news today with the E. coli breakout over there. Nobody's buying the products which came from the area that he was in. So these things are starting to boil, and it's going to be a problem. It's going to dry the products up. We got people here in Florida stealing truckloads of cucumbers and tomatoes and lettuce. That's happening already. That happened, a couple of months ago.
Wow.
And then one other point I'd like to ask: these cans, I heard a rumor to the effect that George Soros is behind some of these packaging these and selling these. Anything to that?
That I don't know. To me, George Soros is an apostate. He's
A rich stuff.
Yeah, this man is a Jew. He was in the concentration camps, and he figured out a way to keep from getting into chambers. He started keeping books on all the other Jews, and we, the United States, freed this man, and so this is his thanks to us. Trying to change our system. Anyway, yeah, that's something I was going to say about that. Oh yeah, when you're canning foods, a lot of people don't want to can foods that are not acid. Now, if they're acid foods, botulism is not going to really thrive in there. But things like string beans, they're not really acid. Some of the vegetables are not acidic. So if you have a concern like that, you use a steam processor, a pressurized canner. Yeah. And then if you still have concern, if you bought something, at the market and you don't know if that's going to be safe or not, take it, cook it at 250 degrees for a while, and that'll kill the botulism toxins. And so that'll take care of the problem.
You know what, I started, I probably bought 6 fruit trees in the last 3 weeks that I'm planting in my yard.
Good for you.
I mean, it's, you know, if you can't eat it, it comes at these times, you know. I mean, I bought a hydrangea too, but I mean, you can't eat a hydrangea. But I mean, the fruit trees, I mean, the lowest I paid was like, I mean, the lowest was like $9 at Lowe's.
Uh-huh.
You know, every kind of fruit tree you can get.
That's great too. Save the honeybees.
Yes.
Something you didn't talk about, Rob, was water. And, you know, if our water supply is damaged, I've looked at like the little military hand pump that's $49.
Talk to Den Type.
I know Gabe's got that rain barrel thing.
Right.
What is a good thing to have to purify your water, do you know?
Well, that's a good question.
I've got a bunch of that.
Yeah, you can do that. You can also have, Lowe's sells an under-the-counter reverse osmosis system, which will purify just about anything. But if you still have a little wonderment about it, put a couple of drops of Clorox per gallon. You can get the proper formulation online, and that'll take care of it. You don't want to use iodine; it tastes terrible. Yeah.
You can't drink the water that comes off your roof into the rain barrel, although you will be surprised at how much water you get. And my brother-in-law has he's got a rain barrel on every corner of his house, and he bought Berkey filters.
Berkey?
Berkey is her name. It's like Berkeley without an L.
Yeah, that's one area that I didn't research for this talk, is water. But there are ways to purify it and things like that. In my opinion, if the threat is nuclear, if they're having some sort of exchange over in the Middle East, then after about a week, you don't want to drink any water that comes off your roof. Yes.
I was just going to ask about shallow wells. Supposedly you could have the water tested. That should be fairly safe if you have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the old-fashioned pitcher pumps.
Right. Well, some houses around here in the county, before the largest bureaucracy in Florida got a hold of it and shut down access to the Floridian aquifer. Anyway, some people still have deep water well pumps, 160 feet or more. Goes right in the aquifer. There's about 20 feet of limestone at the 90 to 110 foot level, and you go through that and you get into the aquifer. I don't know where the water comes from. Up north, but I don't know how far north. That's going to be pure water, because even if there's a nuclear event in Montgomery or Birmingham, by the time it gets down into the water, it's going to be harmless.
The only trouble with that, though, is if you have some disaster, you may not power, and you almost have to have a pump.
You do.
Hand pumps won't reach that far down.
No, you do.
About 35 feet is tops for a hand pump.
Right. And that's why I brought up the solar power and the wind power. Yes, sir.
I'm Tony Lingill. You know, Rob, I got really excited. Last weekend, we had the pleasure of visiting some friends and talking to some other people, like-minded people that are getting into starting small gardens and that kind of thing. And we were talking to a neighbor a couple of days ago, and we were talking about what the yield would be, what you could actually grow and consume out of your own yard, and especially under the conditions that most of us live in. And he said, you really couldn't grow enough to live off from. And I told him, I said, but the cool thing is that if other like-minded people, and everybody is kind of doing their part, and you get into this kind of thing, and it gets to be kind of fun. And you think back when Grandma was doing canning and this kind of thing, and you start to, manipulate the ground and do this kind of stuff, and you do your part. If it hits the fan and you got a call tree, and other people
Yeah.
that have gardens and fruit trees and all this kind of stuff.
That's right.
You can start trading amongst yourselves, and
That's
you know,
right. It's exactly
it doesn't
right.
become just your
It's
little.
against the law now.
Yeah, it doesn't become just your little corner. It becomes, you know, I know
You're a
15
part of the whole.
You 15 or 20 different families or people that are already doing this, and we're good friends, and we're trading our yield, and you know, you're able to. I got excited about it. It was really cool.
I think